Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road, and if you ever thought of making your own DIY wedding invitations, just be ready for the magnitude of this project. So I'm going to show you how I made mine. It's really pretty easy, you just have to have a little bit of patience. First I started by trying to design something that I was going to like and that I was going to be willing to make like 175 times. So I made just some basic designs. At first I really thought I wanted a fold out thing where I could put information and photos and things like that. And so I made a couple just designs and then laid them all out and looked at them after a few days and just made some decisions. But after a while of making those fold outs, the thought of making 178 or 175 fold outs was just too much. So I thought, well, I'll just make an A2 size card, and I narrowed it down to 2. And then I decided my colors are orange and navy. And so I thought I really liked the way this one looked. I liked the you're invited there and the little just simple design, but the nice detail. And so I went ahead with this design. And the first thing I did was I got a shim plate, and I got all these supplies over the course of about a year, and a really, really nice die from Heartfelt Creations, and it was kind of intricate. I had some lightweight cardstock, like 80-pound cardstock, lightweight compared to like 110-pound for card bases. And I had it cut in half, and then I went through and ran all of the paper with the die through my Sizzix and used a Spellbinders Tool-in-One, which has a fine point tip, like a point tip, and then a wire brush on the other end. Now this process I knew I was going to have to do for each and every single one that I did, punching out all those little holes or using the wire brush, either way. So I thought, I'm just going to do them all like assembly line style. And I found just a regular piece of foam, and that way I could use the tool. And after I cut them all out, I didn't even worry about punching all the holes or getting all the little papers out until I had them all cut. Then I could go in with the wire brush, and I did lean it up against the foam, but just for the video's purposes, I held it in my hand because you couldn't really see it white on white that well. But I used the wire brush to get all those little holes out of there, all those little die cut punches, and then use the tip to get out any excess. And I sure did do that with every single one of the die cuts. It was a long process, but I knew that that's what I wanted for the invitations. There were pieces everywhere. So if you're doing your own invitations, just get ready and just worry about the pieces at the end. And they're really pretty. I did keep them all in piles of 10, as I did with my pre-cut cards. Pre-cut just meaning that I bought a ream of cardstock, 110-pound size, and had it cut in half at Staples. And then I cut the bottom 1.5 inches, or I'm sorry, 1.25 inches off of the bottom front of each card. And I saved those little pieces just for my own self for some other project. And then I could glue the die cut, lacy type die cut pieces to the bottom to fill in that gap. Still keeping them in piles of 10 just to make sure that I wasn't losing count. And you know what? I just totally used Elmer's glue because it was a lightweight cardstock on a heavier weight cardstock. I could control it, and I had one of those big gallon jugs of Elmer's glue. I used the yogurt container to just stand up the glue bottle upside down, and I made sure to only glue on half of the die cut piece because I knew that other piece was going to be loose at the bottom and open on both the inside and the outside, exposed. And it looked really nice. It dried nice, and there was my 178. Then I went in with my, this was just a regular embossing folder, and I put the whole front in, including the lacy piece, and just lined it up with the edge. Now you notice my die cut machine is different. It's just because I have 2 different machines, and I just had this one in the shot, in the video shot. But that really created a nice blend between the glued die cut piece and the card. And I did all of that on all of the invitations. This is super tacky tape from Creekbank Creations, and what I was trying to do was create a sticker with some Night of Navy cardstock, and that is by Stampin' Up. And so I was careful to mount this paper onto the tape, and all I'm doing is creating basically what the goal is to create 4-inch long strips of 1/4-inch strips of cardstock. So I know it kind of looks like the long way around the way I'm like trimming and trimming, but I'm trying to get them, you can see right there, I'm getting to 4 inches across, and then I'll take those pieces and a smaller paper trimmer, one where I can really see that 1/4-inch guideline mark, and then I'll trim those into tiny, tiny 1/4-inch strips, 1/4-inch strips, one after the other. Then I can pull that adhesive backing off and it'll take me a lot less time. So I just trimmed a 1/4-inch, 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 just one after the other until I had a whole little plastic tray full. Then I had this Stampin' Up! Stamp, which I love the font, and I took it off the wooden block and used some Easy Mount Stampin' Store to make it into a cling stamp, which I could either use on a clear glass block, or in this case, I used my Tim Holtz Stampin' Platform and some Stampin' Up! Ink, also in Night of Navy. And the goal was to be able to die cut the rectangles out of, as many of those rectangles out of the sheet of cardstock as I could. So I just had to make sure to stamp, like I was trying to get 8 on a sheet. And I just did that by eyeballing how many could I die cut out. And if I position the stamp just right, which in this case I went to do it, and then I was like, what is happening? And I realized there's a clear side to the stamping platform and a rubber stamp side. And so I just had the platform on the wrong side. But I lined it up just right so that I could fit 2 that way. And once I had it in place, I just inked up the stamp. And I suppose that in hindsight, I could have done this on my printer, but I really enjoy stamping. And if you're a crafter and you're taking on the project of a DIY invitation, you probably like this kind of thing too. So just thought I'd show you this way to do it. And I turned, after stamping twice, then I turned the paper around, leaving the stamp where it was, and I got 4 images. Now, after I did that on all of my pieces of cardstock, all the way through, even though there's holes, what I'm going to do is the same process, but just physically move the stamp over and following the grid lines, putting it exactly the same place, just on the other side, and you'll see it lines up perfectly. So I can just repeat the whole process, inking up the stamp and then moving the paper slightly, and just repeat that process. Flip the paper and the stamp is in the same exact spot. And even though some of the "you're invited" sentiments are upside down, it doesn't make a difference, because when I die cut them out, it won't matter. So then I'll be able to cut the paper in half and then run them right through my Sizzix die cut machine. And if you mess up, I do recommend taking like a Sharpie or a pen and just crossing out the mess up so you don't get confused. So I die cut all those out, and then I had the strips, and I put those to the side and pulled off the backing and just got ready to do assembly style. I watched to see where I was going to put the sentiment, and then made sure to put the navy blue strip down first. And then I found I was using some double-sided adhesive foam and just adhering the sentiment on top. And that looks really nice. And now I did it with all of them. You could probably stop there if you wanted to. Of course, I wanted to do a little bit more on the inside. So all these navy blue Night of Navy panels I made by cutting cardstock in half, and then I could cut out 2 panels with that same die for the inside. And I used my Sizzix to cut out orange flowers in 2 different designs, one for the inside and one for the outside. And I saved out the little punch out holes. I didn't know why. I just thought it's better to have them and throw them out at the end. So that navy panel will go on the inside, and a flower on the inside, and a flower on the outside. And when I got the flower on the outside glued, then I was going to get ready. Oh, I did run the inside flowers through an embossing folder to give them a little bit of texture. And I got my liquid pearls ready, and I'm using Perfect Card Adhesive by Wendy Vecchi, and that's by Ranger. It's really good. I put some in a little tiny bottle so I can work a little bit better with it. And I just put that down. It dries pretty quickly, and you don't get any warping in the paper. Now I'm going to fill in the holes of the flowers. with the liquid pearls. It's a really nice little touch. It does need time to dry. So I'm just showing you this, how it's going to look at the end just quick. But the way I actually did it was I laid them all out. I set up tables in my kids' room. And I laid them all out on the table, starting with the inside ones first. And then I just went down and I could do dot, 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 dot. So these are the ones that I haven't done yet. And it's a big project. Just this really showed me, I was like, oh my goodness, it's just such a big project. But if you're willing to take it on, I enjoyed it actually. Those are the ones I already did. And then they can lay out and dry and be undisturbed. Once the inside ones are dry, then they're already in position and you can fold over the front and do the dots, the liquid pearls dots in the middle of the outside flowers. And then they can lay there to dry. But this really shows the magnitude of the project. If you're willing to take it on, great. And if not, then order them or have someone else do them. And we definitely do them here at Sandpaper Road. So that's the basic design. You've got it finished, and then you can add your details, your wedding details, printing them out or having them ordered in print on regular cardstock and sticking them on the inside on the panel. And then I used photo corners and just got like a little photo, keepsake photo for my guests and just adhered it to the top with photo corners. I thought that was a nice little touch. And that's the invitation. It's really nice. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Sandpaper Road on YouTube. And don't forget to click on the bell to receive notifications. And visit us on social media. And thanks for subscribing. See you next time. Bye-bye.